After 10 years of being dinks, my husband's mistress got pregnant. He didn't ask her to have an abortion. Instead, he told me he wanted to be a father. I had two choices. First, take 300 million in compensation and divorce. Second, continue being Mrs. Xie. With this child counting as mine too, a painless way to become a mother, the Xie family all thought I would choose the second option. After all, they all knew how much I loved Xie Sui, but I chose the first without hesitation, no other reason. I was reborn. In my past life, I fought with Xie Sui's mistress for a lifetime, and in the end, the foundation I built still ended up in her son's hands. This time around, I want to slack off, take the money, live the life of a wealthy woman, enjoy myself, learn from Xie Sui, and keep a few young men for fun. In my past life, I worked myself to death. After learning of Xie Sui's infidelity, I was so furious that I felt a deep, seething hatred. For 2 days and 2 nights, I didn't sleep, meticulously crafting a thorough revenge plan. First, I sidelined Xie Sui, seizing control of most of the Xie family's assets. Then, I implemented sweeping reforms, multiplying the value of my shares 4 or 5 times over. Xie Sui's mistress, Lin Yumor, and their son, Xie Jiahao, were completely suppressed by me, hiding abroad, too afraid to return or even contact Xie Sui. No one in the Xie family dared to challenge me, including Xie Sui. I thought I had one, until I turned 45. I was unable to conceive again due to health issues. In an attempt to undergo artificial insemination, I endured constant injections. Combined with the relentless demands of my work, my body finally gave out, and I died suddenly while on a business trip, before my remains were even buried. Lin Yumor returned to the country with her son, Xie Sui, along with her and Xie Jiahao, wept bitterly, as if they were the ones who had suffered the most. Meanwhile, my ashes and funeral portrait were casually tossed into a pile of garbage. Watching Lin Yumor eagerly move in and Xie Jiahao take over my company, I finally realized that my entire life had been spent making wedding dresses for others. At night, Lin Yumor and Xie Sui whispered sweet nothings by the bedside. With tears in her eyes, Lin Yumor said to Xie Sui, "Husband, you've suffered for 20 years for me. I can't believe you secretly got a vasectomy for me and even deliberately manipulated Su Linyu to work for our son. Thank you, husband, I love you so much." Xie Sui kissed Lin Yumor's forehead. "Qiao Qiao, I love you too. You've been with me since you were 20, and I'm willing to do anything for you." No wonder I could never get pregnant no matter how hard I tried later on. Xie Sui had already had a vasectomy. I couldn't tell whether I felt more regret or anger. Only that my entire life seemed like a joke. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment Xie Sui laid his cards on the table. He had just returned from a business trip, still wearing the suit I had specially tailored for him. Sitting on the sofa, he looked dashing and imposing. Xie Sui sighed. "Su Linyu, let's part on good terms. Lin Yumor is pregnant. Although it was just an accident, she has given me everything, and I can't let her down. I want to marry her and keep this child. I can only let you down. Besides the 300 million in compensation for the divorce, I'll also buy your shares at market price. Additionally, the villa we live in now and the cars at home will all be yours. Over the years, I've let you down. To be fair, the conditions Xie Sui proposed were really quite good. If I didn't love this person, it would be a total win. But I met him when I was 18, and we got married when I was 20. Xie Sui started his business and worked hard. And I helped him manage the company. Later, when his parents grew older and their health declined, I stepped back to take care of them at home. I never expected Xie Sui to stab me in the back, and right in the most vulnerable spot. That's why, in my past life, I hated him to the core and spent my entire life seeking revenge. Now, looking at the face in the mirror, barely 30 years old, the eyes and brows show a hint of exhaustion. Worn down from cooking for my in-laws and managing household chores, the clothes are also a bit old-fashioned, a result of feeling sorry for Xie Sui's hard-earned money. I exude a strong aura of a housewife from head to toe. My heart trembled slightly, and I felt a pang of pity for myself. How did I end up living like this? Why don't I know how to enjoy life? While I was lost in thought, Xie Sui repeated the matter of divorce once more. He seemed a bit impatient, just as I was about to issue a warning. I heard a cool and detached "okay." Xie Sui was taken aback instead. What? I said, okay, I agree to the divorce, and I also agree that you can buy back the shares at market price. Xieswei, let's part on good terms. Perhaps shocked by my decisiveness, Xieswei stared at me for a long time, leaving behind the words, as long as you agree, I'll have the lawyer contact you tomorrow. He hurriedly left. I took a deep breath and, turning around, saw my in-laws on the second floor. They already knew about Lin Yumo's pregnancy and wanted to see if I would make a scene. Seeing how resolute I was, their expressions also turned somewhat awkward. Grinning, my mother-in-law pushed my father-in-law to turn around and leave. Left alone in the living room, I reflected on the fact that I had been reborn. Xieswei's secretary worked quickly. In just over a week, Lin Yumo dared to enter the house. In my previous life, Xieswei pitied her for being young and protected her well. So I rarely interacted with her. As a result, now suddenly facing the 20-year-old Lin Yumo, I still felt an inexplicable hatred, but I tried my best to hide it. I know all of this is Xieswei's fault. Lin Yumo just happened to be the fly that stuck to him. She was surrounded by the Xie family like a treasure, and my mother-in-law, who had been cold-faced for 10 years, smiled so kindly at someone for the first time. She kept feeding Lin Yumo fruit, touching her belly. Looking as if she had finally found comfort in her old age, I didn't go in to add to the trouble and instead returned to the car, calling Xieswei, have the secretary come out, I'll sign the papers in the car. Since you've given me the villa, have your parents move out tomorrow. I don't like having outsiders at home. Transfer the money to my account first, and let's handle the equity transfer procedures as soon as possible. Once that's done, we'll go get the divorce certificate. Xieswei didn't say anything on the other end. Then after a moment, he let out a mocking laugh. You're quite straightforward. As if I were the one after the money. I didn't respond to his remark. At this point, there was no point in starting a conflict with him. The most important thing was to settle the matter as quickly as possible, perhaps provoked by my attitude, or perhaps because Xieswei didn't want to wrong Lin Yumo. A month later, I received nearly 800 million in compensation and a divorce certificate. The moment I stepped out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I immediately listed the villa online, ready to transfer it. Xieswei had been following me, and when I nearly stumbled, he grabbed my arm. His expression even showed a hint of guilt. Ling, what are you planning to do from now on? I was just mulling over the villa's price and didn't catch what he said. What do you plan to do, me? I looked at him strangely. I'm planning to get a haircut and buy a few new clothes. After all, divorce is like a rebirth. It's worth celebrating, isn't it? Xieswei was left speechless by my remark, his expression turning cold. Your temper is still as stubborn as ever, even though we can't be husband and wife. Since we've known each other for so long, I still want to give you a piece of advice. When we were young and financially struggling, we carelessly decided to be dinks. Not really understanding what it meant. As my parents have grown older and I've achieved success in my career, I've come to realize how important having children is. I know you hate your father for cheating and your stepmother for mistreating you, so you've stubbornly refused to have children. But, Ling Yu, life is so long. If you never have your own flesh and blood, you'll feel very lonely in your old age. I just didn't want my parents to miss out on having a grandchild. And I didn't want to be unfilial, so I chose to take responsibility for you more. I hope you can understand. He rambled on for a while, and just then, the ride I had called arrived. I calmly removed his hand and got straight into the car. Then, before the car drove off, I gave him the international gesture of friendship. Xieswei, if you cheated, just admit it. Don't make it sound so noble. No matter how you spin it, Lin Yumo is still the other woman, and that child of yours is still illegitimate. Nothing you say can change that fact. I'm actually glad we're getting divorced because I won't have to deal with you and your mess anymore. May you and that bitch be together forever. From now on, we're done. Cursing Xieswei felt incredibly satisfying, and the divorce didn't affect me in the slightest. Maybe I had already exhausted all my love for him in my past life. Now that we're apart, it feels like cutting out a piece of rotten flesh, utterly liberating. The day after we finalized the divorce, I went to a high-end salon and got a perm. Along with the highlights I'd always wanted to try, I also splurged on dozens of new outfits, completely revamping my wardrobe. When I saw the new, younger version of myself in the mirror, I couldn't help but shed a few tears. Su Linyu, you're actually this beautiful. All these years, You've worked hard, with a dazzling 9-figure sum sitting in the account. Even if I do nothing, the interest alone is enough. For now, there's no rush to make money. After lying on the sofa for a while, I deleted Xiesui, his parents, and relatives one by one, left all the family groups, and removed most of Xiesui's friends as well. My contact list became much cleaner. As I scrolled through, I came across a friend, Song Miao, who runs a bar. After a moment's thought, I gave her a call. I had been so busy with family life before that I rarely reached out. Calling her out of the blue, she was quite surprised. "Hey, Mrs. Xie, what made you think of me?" I smiled slightly. "I'm divorced, don't call me Mrs. Xie anymore. From now on, please call me Rich Lady Su." "Holy shit," Song Miao exclaimed. "Really? Where are you? I'll come pick you up right now." Her curiosity was clearly showing. Half an hour later, Song Miao had heard everything and looked at me, hesitating to speak. I quickly stopped her. "Sis, don't feel sorry for me. I'm loaded now." "Song Miao, you have a point." She wiped her face. "So, sis, what do you want to do now?" I smacked my lips. "Well, ever since Xiesui got together with Lin Yumor, it's been 2 years since I've had any fun. You know a lot of people. Do you have any clean, healthy, good-looking guys? Bring me a couple." As soon as I mentioned I wanted to find male models, Song Miao got really excited. In just half a day, several profiles were sent to me. At first glance, I noticed Lu Yunqian, who had the cleanest vibe. It wasn't just his looks. His background was impressive too. He was actually a top student from University A. How could such an outstanding young man want to take a wrong turn? I raised an eyebrow and told Song Miao to bring the person to the hotel that night. That night, in the presidential suite of Shenghao Hotel, I met Lu Yunqian for the first time at the age of 23. He was very tall, with features even more handsome than in the photo, slightly tanned skin, and a faint hint of anger in his eyes. With years of interview experience, I could tell at a glance that he was a model good student. He was dressed in a shirt and trousers, his whole body stiff as a board, his face filled with shame. Unfortunately, I had no kindness to spare, my mind solely focused on the feast. I walked over and lifted his chin. Are you Lu Yunqian?" Lu Yunqian squirmed and let out a soft His youthful awkwardness pleased me. He is incredibly handsome, with clear eyes, long upturned eyelashes, and rosy lips. He looks just like a captivating enchantress. I pinch his chin, forcing those deep eyes to meet mine. "Your asking price is 500,000, which, in principle, is actually quite expensive. But I like you and am willing to pay that amount. Whether you can take it all depends on your performance tonight." Lu Yunqian takes a deep breath. "Sister, don't worry, I will definitely serve you well tonight." His hands are trembling badly, and his ears and neck are flushed red. When he kisses me, he is so inexperienced that his teeth scrape my lips. I really can't help but chuckle softly. So pure, so clean, so adorable. I turned and pressed him down, unbuttoning his shirt one button at a time. "Little brother, you're lucky. This is my first time hiring a male model. And I don't have any particular preferences. I just haven't had meat in a very, very long time. I wanted to comfort myself and release some stress. After tonight, you'll get what you want." Lu Yunqian let out a muffled groan, his hands instinctively supporting my waist as he sank into the moment with me. The next morning, I woke up refreshed and energized. While Lu Yunqian was still asleep, I left the card on the bedside table, kissed his cheek once more, and then got up to leave. In my decisiveness, I didn't notice the moment the door closed. The person on the bed shed a tear. I never imagined I would have any further entanglements with Lu Yunqian. The second thing I wanted to do after being reborn was to invest in a few projects by leveraging information gaps. Money can never be fully earned, and I will no longer risk my life to make it. However, investing in promising projects and earning through shares is also a good option. I found Lin Weiyan, the chief assistant who had been following me in my past life. He was still working like a beast of burden at another company, and I poached him with a high salary. Upon hearing that we were looking for projects, Lin Weiyan felt a bit timid. "Boss Su, I have absolutely no experience in this area. Why do you trust me?" How should I explain it? In my past life, even after I died, he fought desperately to protect my interests, standing up against Xie Jiahao. Or was it that he was ultimately blacklisted by the industry, lived a rough life, and refused to bow to the Xie family even on his deathbed? I didn't give Lin Weiyan much, just an annual salary of over $1 million, not even providing him with a car, yet he remained this loyal to me. During the days my soul wandered in the mortal world, I always felt guilty about this. I took a deep breath and started talking nonsense. Because I have innate spiritual power, I can see your immense potential. Just focus on finding people and projects. I won't invest recklessly either. We'll have in-depth discussions when something suitable comes up. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Only then did Lin Weiyan accept the task and start working seriously. He truly was highly capable, and within a few days, he brought forward a project. This is a game developed by my university junior and his team. It was about to be launched, but then a big company copied it, crushing them to the point where they could barely survive. I've looked into their underlying logic and found that, whether in terms of smoothness or visual effects, it's completely different. The copycat can't compare at all. In fact, they probably intended to suppress them first and then acquire them. If there's a chance to collaborate, I believe it could be profitable. Mr. Su, would you like to take a look? So, half a month after we parted, I saw Lu Yunqian again. As an investor and an investee, Lu Yunqian appeared at the agreed-upon cafe, wearing a slightly cheap-looking suit. The moment he pushed the door open, his lips turned deathly pale, his pupils contracted as he stared at me, as if terrified to the extreme. Soon, I understood why he was so afraid. Because behind him, 3 or 4 people followed in a scattered manner, calling out to him, "Mr. Lu, why aren't you moving?" Lu Yunqian, with a chill running down his spine, walked in with stiff, awkward steps. I said gently, "Mr. Lu, don't be afraid, I won't eat you." Lu Yunqian instantly flushed from his ears down to his neck. Fortunately, his burly subordinates didn't notice a thing. The project introduction went smoothly, and I was quite interested in the game Lost Path that Lu Yunqian and his team were developing. Given time, it was sure to be profitable. I gave Lin Weiyan a meaningful look, and he handed over a contract. "This is the cooperation method our general manager Su hopes for. Please take a look. We will invest $5 million and take a 40% stake in your company. In the future, revenue sharing will be based on the dividend structure. This is just the initial version. You can take it back to discuss first, and we can proceed with the cooperation once you've made a decision." Lu Yunqian kept looking at me, but said nothing. I figured they might need to discuss it, so I got up and went to the restroom. I came out and found Lu Yunqian outside the door. He looked extremely awkward. He stammered and called out, "Sis." I replied, "Thank you for today, I knew what he was about to say and decisively cut him off. "Although I don't know why you started this business in the first place. Seeing how well you've built your project, you must be a good person. Don't worry, what happened between us is over. From today on, we're just business partners. You've got the investment. So work hard and make sure to send me more dividends in the future. That's all. From now on, Lin Weiyan will handle all company matters. I won't bother you or cling to you. Just focus on being the CEO you are. I'm not someone driven by desire, and I especially dislike getting involved in romantic entanglements with people who can help me make money. Although Lu Yunqian is quite handsome, there are plenty of men out there. As long as you have money, there's no need to cause conflict over this." After Su Linyu left, Lu Yunqian was lost in thought for a long time. He had originally taken a wrong path out of desperation for money due to his grandmother's heart surgery, only to later discover that this person was actually his investor, plunging him into despair. He was terrified that his disgraceful actions would be exposed, forever branding him with shame. Unexpectedly, Su Linyu calmly stated that she wouldn't pursue him. For a moment, Lu Yunqian felt a mix of bitterness and sourness in his heart, unable to put his emotions into words. After completing the investment in Lu Yunqian's project, I also arranged a car and rented an office for Lin Weiyan, allowing him to handle daily operations. As for myself, I decided to go out and have some fun. Perhaps it was just bad luck, but at the random beach I chose, I unexpectedly ran into Lin Yumor and Xie Sui. They've already registered their marriage, held a grand wedding banquet. And now in Xie Sui's circle, I'm seen as a joke. Lin Yumor probably also misjudged her position, so when I ran into the two of them face to face, she looked quite smug, covering her lower abdomen. She looked at me smugly. "Oh, isn't this Sister Linyu? Long time no see. How have you been? Why are you traveling alone without a man?" I couldn't be bothered to pay her any attention. My mind was completely occupied with where to go and have fun later. Beside her, Xieshui's eyes kept wandering over me. After 10 years of marriage, I immediately recognized the undisguised look of admiration in his eyes. Then again, Xieshui was never a decent guy to begin with. Since becoming pregnant, Lin Yumore probably overdid it with the supplements, although her complexion remained the same. Her whole body had swollen quite a bit. In contrast, I was wearing a strapless dress with big waves in my hair. Under heavy investment, everything from my face to my nails exuded refinement. Don't mention Xieshui. I've been sitting here for over 10 minutes, and already 5 or 6 men have come up to chat and ask for my contact information. Naturally, he couldn't help but feel tempted. After adding another male college student, Xieshui, who had just escorted Lin Yumore back to her room, finally hurried over. He stood in front of me with a displeased expression. Su Linyu, what are you doing? Me, they approached you. Why did you agree? I like it. Of course I'd agree if I like it. You. Xieshui flushed red, gritting his teeth. You're divorced. How can you be so casual? I almost laughed, pressing my index finger to my temple. What do you mean, Mr. Xie? Being divorced means I'm free. Why can't I look for men? President Xie, why are you so worked up? Do you want to join the queue too? Haha, unfortunately, I have no interest in rotten cucumbers. You're not qualified. Hurry back and take care of your little pregnant wife. You're about to be a father now, so stop thinking about such shameless things. As soon as the words were spoken, a young man in swim trunks and a tank top walked up to me. Beautiful lady, may I have the chance to invite you to the beach for some sun? Only after Su Linyue's figure disappeared did Xieshui get up and return to his room. When he reached the door, Xieshui was still lost in thought. Lin Yumore was already awake, sulking on the sofa. Seeing Xieshui enter, she immediately spoke coldly. Acewei, where have you been? Did you go looking for that little bitch? Xieshui was stunned for a moment before he remembered. He and Su Linyu were already divorced, and the pregnant woman in front of him was his new wife. He couldn't help but feel a pang of regret. The person before him, somewhat bloated with a fierce gaze, was unbelievably ugly. Xieshui clearly remembered that he had chosen Lin Yumore because of her hot figure, gentle and considerate nature, and soft-spoken manner, completely different from Su Linyu, who was always busy with household chores and didn't care about her appearance. How could she have become so unattractive in just a few short months? Xieshui couldn't help but feel increasingly irritable. His mind was completely occupied by thoughts of Su Linyu, who had left with another man. After the divorce, Su Linyu became alluring and charming. With fair skin and a voluptuous S-curve that few men could resist, she went for a walk with that man. And after the walk, what then? Would they have dinner, kiss, get intimate? Xieshui felt a surge of jealousy in his chest, the sourness nearly soaking through his heart. It was utterly infuriating. Lin Yumore, sitting on the sofa, was no stranger to such matters. How could she not see that Xieshui's mind was wandering? She immediately thought of his earlier encounter with Su Linyu and knew he was almost certainly regretting it. Furious, her head buzzing, she grabbed an ashtray and hurled it at him. The hard glass struck Xieshui's foot, causing sharp pain. Xieshui could no longer hold back and shouted, "What are you doing? Are you out of your mind?" Lin Yumore rushed over and slapped him twice. Hard. Yes, I'm out of my mind, watching you flirt with your ex-wife while I'm pregnant with your child, Xieshui. I'm carrying the golden grandson of your Xie family. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant at such a young age. Now you're being so indecisive and unfaithful. How can you face me, you shameless old man? The moment the words old man came out, Xieshui's expression turned even uglier. He took a deep breath and faced Lin Yumore, not with much gentleness. Almost immediately, an aura of authority emerged, overwhelming as he looked at her. Lin Yumore, think carefully about what you're saying. There are plenty of women who want to bear my child. If you're unwilling, you can just get an abortion. I, Xieshui, won't force you. After saying that, he turned and left. Lin Yumore panicked a bit and wanted to chase after him, but accidentally fell to the ground. Feeling something warm starting to flow out, she cried out in pain for Xieshui, but he never looked back. I took a 2-hour walk along the beach with Meng Huai. The young man was quite sweet-talking, making me unable to stop smiling. He also wanted to take photos of me, praising how beautiful I looked as he snapped away, saying I looked like a fairy. To reciprocate this emotional value, I gave Meng Huai an LV bracelet. He was overjoyed and, on the way back, coaxed me into posting on social media, "Sis, you're so good looking, you should definitely show it off. Really, that seems reasonable enough." So, under Meng Huai's guidance, I posted a few live photos. When we reached the hotel entrance, Meng Huai kept insisting on walking me upstairs. His whining tone was quite persistent, but I'm not too fond of people with unclear backgrounds, worried they might not be clean, so I hinted just enough. "Meng Huai, be good, I'm a bit tired, I'll hang out with you next time." The tone was gentle, but the eyes held little warmth. Sensible as Meng Huai was, he immediately understood my meaning. Reluctantly, he settled for second best and asked for my contact information. Back at the hotel, I had just changed my shoes when Lu Yunqian called. His voice was somewhat low, carrying a barely perceptible magnetism. "Sister, did you go to see the sea by yourself?" Me, "Yes." There was silence on the other end. Not wanting to damage our working relationship, I said, "Mr. Lu, is there something you need to call me so late? If it's about company matters, you can contact Wei Yan, he knows more about it." Lu Yunqian interrupted, "No, it's not about the company." He took a deep breath. It's that I want to see you, the kind of man wanting a woman." I licked my lips, reason and desire at war within me. "Lu Yunqian, do you know what you're saying? You once said yourself that you didn't want anyone to know you'd slept with me." "I know." Lu Yunqian's voice grew even lower. "I know what I'm doing. Sister, I want to see you. Is that okay?" Honestly, I'm also craving his body. Although Lu Yunqian is on the lean side, his figure is really something, and since he was my first, I can't help but find it somewhat unforgettable. "Okay, but right now, I'm in Beihai, and you can't come over." The next second, someone knocked on the door. Lu Yunqian's voice came through the phone. "Sister, open the door. It's hard to describe how surreal it feels to be in your 30s. Open the door, and see the young man you like standing there." I only remember the moment I saw Lu Yunqian. I rushed over, jumped into his arms, and was overwhelmed with excitement. Lu Yunqian held me just as tightly. His arms, wrapped tightly around me, felt burning hot. His thin lips pressed against my ear, and he gently licked my ear canal. "Sister, I missed you so much, I really missed you." I was so captivated by him that my breathing grew rapid, barely able to make out his words, and I lifted my head to kiss him. More than 4 hours later, the two of them were soaking in the bathtub. Finally finding time to talk, I asked him, "Why did you come?" Lu Yunqian hesitated for a moment. "I saw your WeChat moments and was afraid you had found someone new." "Oh, that reminded me of the live photo Meng Huai took in the afternoon, which probably recorded his voice." I clicked to listen, and sure enough, there were several calls of "Sister, sister." I couldn't help but laugh. "So you came because of that?" Lu Yunqian buried his head in my neck. "Yeah. I don't want you to have a new little brother." I didn't know how to respond for a moment. After all, I just wanted a bed partner, not a relationship. I had to push his head away and say seriously, "Lu Yunqian, I have to tell you something. I just got divorced, and facing this dazzling world. It's hard to have just one little brother. He has dealt with Lin Weiyan for so long, so he should be well aware of my situation. I just got divorced, ending a 10-year relationship with the man I loved. It's impossible for me to fall in love with someone else so quickly, especially someone 7 years younger than me." After a long pause, Lu Yunqian said, "I don't want any kind of title or status. I just like you and want a fair chance." He looked at me, his gaze so earnest it almost burned my heart. I couldn't bring myself to say anything hurtful, so I just patted his head. "All I can promise is that when I'm with you, I won't be with any other man." Even though I phrased it gently, Lu Yunqian still felt there was a chance. He returned to the company and transferred another 20% of the shares to me. His explanation for this was that adults should use money to express their feelings. I didn't argue. No one turns down money, and after all, I'm not exactly a saint either. Lu Yunqian is truly exceptional at managing the company. As soon as Lost Path was launched, the daily active users exceeded 10 million, and the recharge revenue surpassed 100 million in just a few months. Those college students who started the business have become highly sought-after rising stars. As the company's owner, Lu Yunqian's net worth has also soared. To celebrate this success, the company held a victory banquet, and as an investor, I was seated at the main table. Lu Yunqian sat next to me, and beside him was his grandmother, who had just recovered from a serious illness. She chatted with me at length, and I finally learned that he had sold himself for 500,000 to cover his grandmother's medical expenses. I should have realized it earlier. Someone as outstanding as him wouldn't have sold his body unless it was a matter of life and death. For the first time since my rebirth, I felt a sense of guilt. If I had just asked one more question, I could have preserved a good person's dignity. Yet, for my own selfish interests, I ended up destroying him. I couldn't sit there any longer, even regretting why I had to get entangled with Lu Yunqian. Even if Lu Yunqian doesn't blame me now, what if he regrets it later? Would he also see me as a thorn in his side, just like Xie Sui? Would I have to engage in a battle of wits and courage again? I really can't fight anymore, in 2 lifetimes. I just want to slack off, have simple relationships, and be happy. Watching Lu Yunqian finish his speech and step off the stage, I got up and left. I said coldly to Lin Weiyan, "I have something to do, I'm leaving first, I'll leave the rest to you." Then I quickly walked out of the banquet hall. Just as I reached the elevator, Lu Yunqian caught up with me. He looked a bit flustered. "Sister, are you angry?" "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have forced you to meet Grandma. I was wrong, let's go home, okay?" Even Lin Weiyan said that Lu Yunqian was making rapid progress, and his aura was growing stronger by the day. I sighed, hearing my own cold voice. "Lu Yunqian, let's break up." Lu Yunqian froze in place. "Why? We're not a good match." My tone was resolute. "I said from the start that we should keep it as a partnership and not let anything else happen. Now that your company is starting to make money and you have the ability to live well, we should end things here." But Lu Yunqian misunderstood. I know, I'm not worth enough right now. Sister, please give me a little more time. I will definitely have enough wealth to match you." His body trembled violently. As I watched, my heart grew even more guilty. Such a sincere and wonderful person, falling into my hands, into the hands of someone as scarred as me. It's unfair to him. He deserves a younger, more vibrant girl to walk the path of life with him. I took half a step back, creating distance. Very seriously, I said to Lu Yunqian, "No need, even if you have more money than me in the future, I won't date a boyfriend who started out as a male model." "Lu Yunqian, even though only you and I know about your past, in my eyes, you will never have a chance." As soon as the words were spoken, Lu Yunqian's face turned deathly pale. The chill that enveloped me lingered for a long time. After what felt like an eternity, I finally heard him say, "I understand, Miss Su." I was out of line. He turned and left, his departure so swift it felt like it was tearing at my heart. I touched my aching chest and felt a strange urge to laugh. How strange, to be nearly 70 or 80 years old and still feel heartache over love. I tilted my head back, forcing the tears to retreat, letting them carve cold trails in my heart. "Su Linyu, a person shouldn't fall in the same place twice. You must look ahead." I began preparing to settle abroad. While I was busy explaining company matters to Lin Weiyan, Lin Yumore unexpectedly came to me and told me she was getting a divorce. I looked at the woman before me, who had noticeably lost weight, and for a moment, I didn't know what to say. Lin Yumore certainly had a lot to get off her chest. She mainly wanted to blame me for ruining her marriage. She started by saying, "Do you know, I had a miscarriage, and it's all your fault. If you hadn't seduced my husband at the hotel that day." I raised my hand to stop her. "Wait a moment. Miss Lin Yumore, you came to me just for this." "Yes, I want you to know how despicable and low you are as a person." I stood up, grabbed my bag, and started to leave. "Oh, I don't want to hear it. I'm leaving." Leaving Lin Yumore standing there, utterly bewildered. Not long after, she called again. "Su Linyu, how can you be so carefree? You damn." I hung up the phone with a thud and blocked the number. So annoying. Not a single word worth listening to. My time is so precious. Why waste it on scum? Absolutely not. Before going abroad, I had Lin Weiyan transfer most of Lu Yunqian's company shares back to him, keeping only 10% for myself. Perhaps the move was too decisive, and Lu Yunqian finally realized. He called me frantically, and I blocked him directly. As the flight approached, my stomach churned uncomfortably, and I spent a long time vomiting in the bathroom, feeling terribly dizzy. An auntie saw me like this and said, "Young lady, could you be pregnant?" It suddenly occurred to me that my period hadn't come for a long time. I asked someone to buy a pregnancy test for me. Staring at the 2 bright red lines, my mind went blank. It's not that I don't like children, on the contrary. I feel that raising a child carries too much responsibility. I'm afraid she might be as unhappy as I am, afraid she might suffer, which is why I didn't want her to come that night. Lu Yunqian and I got carried away, thinking it was a safe period. We didn't use any contraception. As the saying goes, you can't force a flower to bloom. I, who had originally planned to be child-free, ended up having a child of my own, after hesitating for just a few seconds. I decisively decided to keep the child and leave the father. Anyway, we'll be settling abroad in the future, so no one will know if we secretly have a child. I never imagined that Xiesui would come after me. He somehow found out about my plans to go abroad and flew straight to my villa area. As soon as he saw me sunbathing, he rushed over to me. Lingyu, I finally found you. I looked at him. Oh, what do you want? Xiesui was very excited. I divorced Lingyu Mo. She accidentally lost the baby. So there was no reason for us to continue. I didn't understand. If she lost it, she could try again. She's still young. She can definitely have children. Xiesui let out an annoyed snort. She's not worthy. Lingyu, I've only just realized now that it's still you I love. You have no idea how chaotic the house has been since you left. Dad's health has been declining, and Mom is always sighing. Our whole family can't do without you. Lingyu, please come back. Okay, actually. During this time since the divorce, I've heard bits and pieces about the Xie family's situation. Mr. and Mrs. Xie treated Lingyu Mo so well that she became spoiled and arrogant, turning the household upside down. The elderly couple's health wasn't great to begin with, and all this turmoil has taken years off their lives. When the long-awaited grandson was lost, they grew even more annoyed with Lingyu Mo and wanted to kick her out even more. But what does that have to do with me? I'm not some kind of pathetic person. I smiled, touching my stomach, and said, Xiesui, you're too late, I'm pregnant. Xiesui was stunned for a moment. Whose child is it? Is it some pretty boy's? No, I paid for it. Unwilling to say more to him, I directly drove him out the door. Don't come again. There's no chance of us getting back together. Xiesui still wouldn't give up. No, Lingyu, you can have the child aborted, and we can have our own. He spoke with conviction. Yes. We can have our own, have 3, to inherit the family business. Anyway, we've been together for 10 years, we're like family to each other, and no one knows each other better than we do. Me, Xiesui, if you're sick in the head, go get treatment, don't come here to go crazy. I never knew before that this person could be so selfish. He actually suggested aborting a life. Too lazy to deal with him any further, I told the security guards not to let him in again. I went back into the house, holding back my anger. A few months later, Lin Weiyan sent me a message saying that Lu Yunqian had started dating a girlfriend, and their relationship was progressing quickly. They might get engaged soon. After hearing this, I felt a heavy weight in my heart. This discomfort sank from my heart down to my stomach. Finally stirring the full-term baby, after a night of pain, I finally had a child of my own flesh and blood, completely belonging to me. I named my daughter Su Le. Wishing her peace and happiness. Her eyes resembled Lu Yunqian's, her nose and mouth looked like mine, and her temperament was exceptionally easy to care for. When Lei was 5 years old, work matters required me to return to China. Although I had told Lin Weiyan not to share any more news about Lu Yunqian, it was almost certain he was already a married man. To avoid causing him any trouble, I deliberately set the meeting location in West City, nearly 100 miles away from South City. Yet, as soon as I stepped into the hotel, I saw Lu Yunqian walking arm in arm with a woman in the lobby. He looked more mature and handsome than before, wearing a black overcoat that drew frequent glances from passers-by. I hid in the corner, not daring to make a sound, because on the other end of the phone was my daughter's video call. I had originally planned to go over after Lu Yunqian finished the procedures, but as luck would have it, the moment I turned around, our eyes met. His eyes, deeper than before, swept over me with a quiet intensity. After a long moment, he said, President Su, long time no see. Then he pointed to the girl beside him. This is my girlfriend, Qin Wn. Qin Wn. This is President Su, a shareholder of our company. The girl named Qin Wn gracefully nodded in greeting, but there wasn't a trace of hostility in her gaze as she looked at me. My heart ached for just a few seconds. Then, for some reason, I felt a sense of relief. I've always remembered the promise I made to Lu Yunqian back then. And with the business of raising a child these past few years, I haven't had much time to think about this. Now that he's moving on, I guess I can start looking for someone new too. With mixed emotions, I said goodbye to Lu Yunqian and Qin Wn. Lost in thought, I didn't notice. After the elevator doors closed, Qin Wn looked at the man beside her with confusion. Mr. Lu, why did you say I was your girlfriend? Lu Yunqian stared at the closed elevator doors without saying a word. As sharp as he was, he certainly didn't miss the fleeting look of relief on Su Linyue's face. That expression stirred an infinite rage within him. 5 years. He had been trapped in the mud for 5 years, yet Su Linyu remained completely unaware. Even feeling happy because I have a partner, Lu Yunqian couldn't help but clench his fists, afraid he might rush forward and strangle that heartless woman. 1. I returned to my room and started packing my luggage. My daughter would be here soon, and I absolutely couldn't let her run into Lu Yunqian. Lei is practically a mini version of Lu Yunqian. If he were to see her, he wouldn't even need a DNA test to know she's his child. Carrying my suitcase, I thought about changing hotels, but as I entered the elevator, I ran into another old acquaintance. Meng Huai looked at me, surprise flashing in his eyes. Hey, sis, long time no see. Me, long time no see. He moved closer to me, clearly intending to follow me. Although I was thinking of finding another partner, this kind of playboy is not someone I can enjoy. I was just thinking of finding some reason to make him leave, but Meng Huai was annoyingly enthusiastic, following me all the way to the underground parking lot and even trying to get into the passenger seat. Just as his hand touched the car door, a dark figure emerged, grabbing his collar and pulling him back. Meng Huai was shocked. Who are you? Lu Yunqian's face was as sour as shit. None of your business. I have something to discuss with President Su, so get lost. Meng Huai couldn't figure out what was going on and tried to rush forward, but was scared off by Lu Yunqian's expression. After Meng Huai left, cursing and grumbling, I finally looked at Lu Yunqian. Mr. Lu, what do you mean by this? You already have a girlfriend, so why are you chasing away the men around me with that jealous look on your face? Lu Yunqian remained silent. Seeing him act like this, a wave of frustration rose within me. I had already chosen this godforsaken place for the meeting to avoid causing him any trouble. Running into him was one thing, but then he had to start a conflict with the people around me. What right did Lu Yunqian have to keep causing trouble like this? Too lazy to say another word to him, I walked to the driver's side door and was about to pull it open when someone's hand pressed against it. Lu Yunqian's tall frame loomed over me, his head lowering to press against my neck as he kissed me fiercely, tearing, biting, his scorching lips and tongue tangled with mine, instantly throwing my mind into chaos. Just as I was about to speak, Lu Yunqian's hand slipped into my clothes. My mind went blank with a buzz, and I couldn't help but let out a muffled groan. Just when I thought everything was about to spiral out of control, he suddenly stopped. He buried his head in the crook of my neck and started crying. His scalding tears dripped down my collar and onto my skin, and for some reason, I felt a pang of guilt. Wait, why is he crying again? He was the one who forced the kiss on me. Lu Yunqian held me tightly, sobbing and choking back tears. Sister, no matter what I do, you're never willing to give me a chance, are you? It's not fair. I only worked as a male model once, but that guy just now is a gigolo. You'd rather talk to him than pay attention to me. Why? My first time was with you, and there's no one else in my heart. Why won't you give me a chance? My voice was hoarse. Don't you have a girlfriend? He shook his big head, holding me even tighter. I lied. Just wanted to see if you'd get jealous, but you didn't react at all. Lu Yunqian sat up slightly, his eyes red as he looked at me. Sister, can you just look at me? I've really worked so hard. The company's annual revenue is now 9 figures. I've bought a house and a car, and I've invested in several projects. I know you don't like people who play around, so I've kept myself clean all these years, just waiting for you to come back, since you want to find a man. Can you give me a chance, sister? I really miss you so much. I felt guilty, truly, looking at him crying so pitifully. My heart went numb. I can no longer say harsh words, my tone gentle. Alright, I'll give you a chance. Actually, I haven't been with anyone else all these years. Surprise exploded in Lu Yunqian's eyes. He took a deep breath and immediately wanted to hug me. I stopped him and handed over my phone. Since we're seriously dating now, I have to tell you something. What? I had a child, and half of the genes are yours. Lu Yunqian froze, taking a long time to process what I meant. He smacked his lips, unable to speak. I took out a photo of Lei Lei and showed it to him. The child is already 5 years old and looks a lot like you. She's on her way here, and you can meet her in a moment. The pregnancy was an accident, and I'm sorry I didn't inform you. If you mind, I can compensate you. The bewildered Lu Yunqian finally showed some reaction. You. How are you going to make it up to me? I shrugged. Beauty or money? Take your pick. He took a deep breath, lost in thought. After a long while, he suddenly chuckled softly. Haha, the sister I like is truly no ordinary person. I always wondered what I was so obsessed with all these years. Why I was so bewitched and couldn't forget you. Su Linyu, you're really something. No woman has ever been as carefree as you. He lowered his head and bit my neck, a strong scent of blood drifting out. From now on, such a heartless woman belongs to me. I looked into those crimson eyes, which flickered with an inexplicable excitement, stirring a sense of chaos within me as well. I wanted to laugh, but also to scream. I raised my head and kissed him directly. Lu Yunqian, I'll give you a chance to win me over. Whether we can last long term depends on your performance. End of full text extra chapter. In the 3rd year after returning to Nancheng, I reunited with Xie Sui at a cocktail party. At that time, his company was suffering huge losses due to poor management and was hoping to revive itself by securing a major deal, and the client for this major deal was the company I was running. So when I saw Xie Sui approaching with a glass of wine, I was taken aback for a moment and couldn't help but feel amused. He probably felt embarrassed too, coughing lightly before saying, Linyu, it's been a long time. Me, yeah, long time no see. Turned around to leave, Xie Sui grabbed me. Could you give me that order? He actually had the nerve to ask for it outright. I laughed in anger, looking at him speechlessly. Xie Sui, what makes you think I just hand over $1 billion order to you so easily? He took a breath. After all, we were once husband and wife. There should be some affection between us. Affection? Ha ha ha, that's hilarious. President Xie, you haven't forgotten about the affair you had back then, have you? I just didn't bother to make a fuss about it, but that doesn't mean I forgot. Xie Sui froze awkwardly for a moment. That was so long ago, and Lin Yumor and I are already divorced. He seemed to remember something. By the way, I heard that the president of the Su Group is single, which means you're still alone. Raising the child on your own. Lingyu, what do you think about this? Since I'm single right now too, why don't we get married? Our companies could merge. And we could work together to grow the business stronger. Wouldn't that be a win-win? I have no idea how this person's thought process ended up like this, and I'm too tired to respond. Xie Sui, however, got excited and tried to pull me in to continue the conversation. Just then, Lu Yunqian walked over, wrapped his arm around me, and gave me a loud kiss. As expected, Xie Sui's body stiffened. Lu Yunqian looked at him with amusement. What are you talking about with my girlfriend, President Xie? Mind if I join in? Xie Sui couldn't get a single word out. I glanced at the jealous man beside me with amusement, soothingly squeezed his palm, only to have him grip my hand tightly in return. Can't take my eyes off you for even a moment. Flies start swarming in no time. This guy, really. I couldn't help but lean over and give him a kiss. Lu Yunqian finally seemed a bit happier. I seized the opportunity and said, let's go. Lei Lei is still waiting for us at home. All right, let's go. A few months later, I heard that the Xie family had ultimately gone bankrupt. Xie Sui sold his house to pay off debts and took his parents back to their hometown. Before leaving, he even came to the Su family hoping to see me, but I completely ignored him. Xie Sui waited downstairs for a long time before leaving dejectedly. Next, let's move on to the next story. With just 1 day left until the wedding, I found a red booklet in the cabinet. It's the marriage certificate of Hua Linran and his childhood friend. I immediately took a photo and sent it to him. Explain this. I thought it was just a prank, but then a 60-second voice message came through immediately. Sis, sorry about that. It was just a joke at the bar yesterday. Linran and I got a bit too drunk and ended up getting our marriage certificate. Don't worry, once the 1-month divorce cooling off period is over, we'll go straight to get the divorce. I'll definitely return him to you. Sis, I stayed silent for 2 seconds, then I immediately blocked his account. 3 hours later, when Hua Linran came home, I happened to be pulling my suitcase downstairs. He glanced at the red booklet on the coffee table and pressed his temples. What's the big deal? She's just being playful and having fun. Is it really necessary to make such a fuss over it? You've been waiting for this wedding for 6 years. Can't you even wait through a 1-month cooling-off period now? I smiled faintly, not denying it. Yes, I can't wait any longer. Hua Linran was slightly taken aback. He instinctively reached out to stop me. Jiang Mian, don't be unreasonable. The wedding invitations have already been sent out. If you leave now, how will our families handle the situation? I pushed his hand away and continued walking toward the door. His voice finally turned serious. Are you really going to throw away our 6-year relationship over such a trivial matter? I stopped and turned to look at him. 6 years, Hua Linran. When you registered your marriage with her, did you ever think about these 6 years? He was at a loss for words. He forced out a feeble, irrelevant explanation. The bar was chaotic at the time, and a few buddies kept pouring me drinks. She took quite a few for me and ended up feeling dizzy herself. There were too many people egging us on. In the heat of the moment, I was practically dragged there. He paused, raised his eyes, and regained his usual composure. It was just a joke. We can fix it. Looking at his indifferent face, I didn't even feel the desire to argue. A joke? If even marriage can be treated as a joke, what in this world is still serious? As I turned my head, his phone suddenly rang. He glanced at it. It's Feifei. She knows she was wrong and wants to apologize to you. I ignored him and directly pulled the door open, but I never expected Xiao Fei to already be standing outside the door, with a neat, short haircut, wearing a motorcycle jacket, car keys dangling in hand. Sis-in-law, are you really leaving? I dragged my suitcase around her. Xiao Fei clicked her tongue and reached out to snatch the handle of my suitcase. Is it really that serious? I admit I was wrong. Okay, I was the one who urged him to get the certificate, and I was the one who forced him to drink. If you're angry, take it out on me. Don't take it out on Linran. Hua Linran walked out from inside the door. Frowning, he said, Feifei, be polite to your sister-in-law. Give the box back to her. Xiao Fei not only refused to return it but even pulled the box closer to herself. If I give it back to her, who are you going to exchange rings with at the wedding tomorrow? She turned her gaze back to me. Sister-in-law, I'm not like you, always revolving around a man, with no life or career of your own, but I also know that for a big boss like Linran, socializing and putting on a show are just part of the routine. She took half a step forward, her tone laced with undisguised arrogance. You were still nowhere to be seen when we were playing in the mud bare-bottomed and I was picking up bricks for him during fights. With a friendship that's been through life and death like ours, what's the big deal about joking around and getting a fake certificate? She sneered, giving me a once-over from head to toe. Running away from home over such a trivial matter, isn't that a bit too much of a temper? Can't you be a little more sensible? I met her lecturing gaze and spoke calmly. Since you're so sensible and care so much about him, then you go to the wedding tomorrow. Perfect, you can be the lead. And the fake certificate can become real too. I reached out and pulled the suitcase back. Xiao Fei's expression changed. Choked by my words, her chest heaved twice, and she suddenly let out a laugh, tugging at the corner of her mouth. Fine. She pulled out her red booklet from her bag, pinched it between her fingertips, and waved it. So concerned about this worthless thing. Then I'll just tear it up. Okay, consider it my apology to you. As she spoke, she actually started to do it. A tearing sound. The marriage certificate split in half. Xiao Fei threw the torn certificate on the ground, and even stomped on it. I'm not getting married anymore, she spoke loudly, as if she were the one most wronged in this matter. If you can't handle it, just say so. How boring. Hua Linran's expression darkened. Xiao Fei, what are you making a fuss about? Xiao Fei shrugged. I'm helping you solve the problem. Now that the certificate is gone, she should calm down, right? She turned to me. Are you satisfied now? After saying that, she glared at me, her eyes red, and ran off. I cast a cold glance at the red fragments on the floor. After a few seconds of silence, I finally looked up at Hua Linran. Is this her way of apologizing? Hua Linran withdrew his gaze from the disappearing figure. He pressed his forehead in frustration. She just has a quick temper and wanted to let you vent. Vent? I couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. Tearing up the marriage certificate means you'll have to get it reissued before you can even file for divorce. I stopped smiling. Hua Linran, she's not letting me vent, she's rubbing salt in the wound. Hualin Ran's fingers tightened abruptly against his forehead. She didn't think that far, yes. She doesn't need to think about it, I nodded. After all, she won't be the one dealing with the trouble in the end. I stopped looking at him, grabbed my suitcase, and turned away. The taxi driver helped me put the suitcase in the trunk. Hualin Ran hurried over and stopped the car door from closing, leaning down to look at me. Jiang Mian, you can go back to your parents' home to cool off and reflect on whether you're being too extreme, but tomorrow, all the guests and media will be there. You know how to be a proper bride. The reputation of the Jiang and Hua families is not something you can recklessly squander. I slowly raised my head and looked at him, once again. It's about the reputation of the two families. 6 years, because of Qiao Fei's overstepping behaviors under the guise of brotherhood. There have been times when I felt cold-hearted and wanted to break up. He would either use "we grew up together, don't overthink it" to blur the focus, or, like now, he would darken his expression and tell me, the interests of both families are the most important. It's precisely because he is certain that I can't leave him, neither emotionally nor financially. He has never considered keeping his distance from Qiao Fei. I do believe they haven't crossed the final line, but what I see is, Qiao Fei can freely lean on his back and let him carry her around. You can freely drink from his cup. You can call late at night to pour out your troubles. You can even freely browse and use his phone. Yet I, as his other half, the marriage partner recognized by the family, have to follow the theory suggested by Qiao Fei. A man should establish his career before starting a family. I cooperate with him to stabilize his position within the family, waiting for him to grow his wings. I waited for him to build his own business empire with his own hands and make it onto the list of the wealthiest individuals under 30. I waited for him to finally feel he could give me a pure marriage. I happily prepared for the wedding for nearly half a year. So what happened? What I got was him and Qiao Fei, that marriage certificate casually picked up at the bar. In the past, it was those little things. Now, even the legally recognized status of a spouse, she can jokingly have a hand in it. The face of the Hua and Jiang families, I softly repeated, then shook my head. You go and uphold it yourself. Leaving the final words, I won't be coming to the wedding, and as for who the bride is, I forcefully pulled the car door shut. Marry whoever you want. The car drove away. The driver asked, where to, miss? To the airport. Throughout the journey, my phone kept vibrating in my palm. Hualin Ran, my mom, his mom, mutual friends. I hung up on all of them and turned off my phone. It was the first time I had been so unreasonable, yet I felt a long-lost sense of relief. Just when I thought I was about to break free, that relief was shattered the moment I arrived at the airport entrance. My parents, my brother Jiang Cheng, and the Jiang family's adopted daughter Jiang Xinrui were blocking the airport entrance. Jiang Cheng was the first to rush over, snatching my suitcase. Sis, what's going on with you? What will happen to the Jiang family if you leave? The company's project is counting on the Hua family's investment to stay afloat. My mom took advantage of my distraction and grabbed my bag. Mian, I've heard everything. If you just wait for them to get divorced in a month, won't it be fine? Stop making a scene. Jiang Xinrui walked over and said softly, Sis, I know you're upset, but we're family. Can't you think about the family just this once? Think about the family just once. Is it really just once? At 18, I gave her the shares Grandpa left me. At 21, because she was interested. I gave up the marriage arrangement Grandpa had made for me with the prestigious Yu family. At 22, I drank until I had a stomach hemorrhage to secure an investment for the family. At 25, I took the fall for Jiang Cheng's embezzlement to protect the family heir's reputation. Each time, it was brushed off as family duty or what's expected. But ever since I was brought back to this so-called home, has anyone ever truly considered my feelings? My parents' affection and favor have long been poured entirely into Jiang Xinrui, who was raised by them from childhood and is both considerate and obedient. My brother, accustomed to being coddled, is like a blood-sucking leech. If it weren't for Hualin Ran's appearance, like a warm beam of light shining into my world, I wouldn't have made it this far. He saw through my hidden endurance and understood my awkwardness, with him around. Jiang Xinrui's snide remarks and my parents' favoritism have toned down considerably. I fell in love with him, relied on him, like clinging to a floating log. I desperately hoped he would marry me soon. I thought that as long as I built my own family, I could escape this suffocating family of origin. For this reason, I always told myself to endure Qiao Fei's overstepping boundaries, and it would pass, but now, even this ridiculous hope of mine is gone. Give me back my bag. I reached out to my mother, my tone calm. My mother's eyes flickered, but she didn't move. Let's go home first, and we'll talk when you've calmed down. Jiang Cheng stomped anxiously. Sis, I'm begging you, as long as we get through this, secure the investment. In the future, you can do whatever you want. I look at this younger brother who has been doted on by the entire family. How much more money does the Jiang family need to survive and no longer have to sell their daughter? Jiang Cheng was taken aback for a moment. He instinctively blurted out an astonishingly large sum of money. I nodded, took out my phone from my coat pocket, went straight to a number that wasn't saved under any name and dialed it. The phone rang 5 times before it was answered. A dowry of 300 million. If you agree, we'll get married tomorrow. The breathing on the other end of the line paused for a moment, then came the reply, deal. I grunted in acknowledgement and hung up directly. 300 million. It'll be in the account immediately. Jiang Cheng widened his eyes in disbelief. Sis, you're serious. My parents' faces instantly lit up with relieved smiles. My mother immediately stepped forward to take my hand, her tone chiding. You silly child. How could you talk about money with Lin Ran directly over the phone? It's so hurtful to the relationship. That's right, sis. Jiang Xinrui picked up the conversation, putting on a look of concern for me. Brother-in-law must be feeling so uncomfortable. In the future, when you marry into their family, if your in-laws look down on you and call you a gold digger, it won't be good. My father cleared his throat, assuming an authoritative parental tone. All right, the amount of the bride price isn't important. As long as it's settled. Previously, the Hua family agreed to 50 million, to be invested after the marriage. This time, he's willing to give 300 million. Which shows he still values Mian Mian. From now on, you must never say things like selling your daughter again. It's embarrassing. Both you and Xinrui are daughters of the Jiang family, and we care for you equally. I chuckled. If you care for us equally, why not let my sister enter into an arranged marriage too? Isn't the Yu family 100 times more prestigious and powerful than the Hua family? Jiang Xinrui's face instantly turned pale. The Yu family was indeed more prominent, and because of that, they placed even greater emphasis on legitimacy. When they came to propose marriage back then, from start to finish, it was me, Jiang Mian, they were interested in. As for Jiang Xinrui, she wasn't even formally introduced during that meeting in the end. The Yu family didn't take a liking to her. This was something everyone knew. A flicker of embarrassment crossed my father's face. Why bring up these old matters? Then let's not bring it up. The money's here, and the problem's solved. I cut him off, pulling up my suitcase. Let's go home. Didn't you say I have to get married on time tomorrow? I ignored them and turned to walk out of the airport. Once in the car, my phone vibrated, just a simple location pin. Then another message came in. Looking forward to seeing you in your wedding dress tomorrow. I stared at the location. What a coincidence. It was that same hotel, back at the Jiang family home. The air felt heavy. I went straight upstairs to my room. The Hua family had already received the message. The bride has returned home to prepare for the wedding. Presumably, it is satisfactory. The storm has subsided, and the wedding will proceed as scheduled tomorrow. That is enough. As for whether the bride is willing, no one cares. The next day, the Jiang family villa showed none of the festive bustle that should accompany a daughter's wedding. Instead, it exuded an air of detached indifference. It wasn't until the time for the groom to fetch the bride was almost upon them that the elderly couple were reminded by the servants to change into appropriate attire. Hua Linran's motorcade arrived punctually. His suit was impeccably tailored, and his expression was composed. Surrounded by his groomsmen, the atmosphere was lively, yet no one from the Jiang family came forward to block the door. He just welcomed them in, albeit with a hint of awkwardness. Mrs. Jiang wore a standard smile, while Jiang Cheng looked as if he hadn't fully woken up yet. Hua Linran glanced around but didn't see any of the bride's family or friends, nor did he hear any laughter or chatter. His heart sank slightly. He knew Jiang Mian wasn't favored. But seeing firsthand how lightly the Jiang family treated her wedding filled him with a surge of anger that tightened in his chest. Where's Mian Mian? Is she not ready yet? His voice was a few shades deeper than usual. She should still be in her room getting ready. Right, Mrs. Jiang said uncertainly, turning to instruct a servant. Quick, go upstairs and see if the young lady is all set. Xiao Fei chuckled softly. No need to rush, the bride always needs to show a little restraint. Hua Linran's brows furrowed tightly. He took out his phone, opened Jiang Mion's WeChat, and wanted to send a message, but a red exclamation mark popped up on the screen. His fingers stiffened. He had been so certain when he left last night that he hadn't realized he was still on her blacklist. A sense of foreboding suddenly intensified. Xiao Fei took a step closer, saw the red exclamation mark on Hua Linran's phone screen, and immediately gasped, "Why is sister-in-law still blocking you?" The ceremony is about to begin. Before she could finish speaking, a servant from the Jiang family hurried down from upstairs. "Madam, the young lady isn't in her room, we've searched everywhere, and she's nowhere to be found." The air in the living room instantly froze. "Not in her room." Hua Linran's expression darkened frighteningly. It wasn't until they checked the surveillance footage that they discovered Jiang Mion had already left the house. Hua Linran felt a sudden tightness in his chest. They had clearly agreed to pick her up for the wedding, yet she was still being so willful. A groomsman suddenly raised his phone. "Brother Hua, look at the group chat. Someone posted a short video from the wedding venue." Isn't this your bride?" Hua Linran snatched the phone. In the video was the 7-star hotel where their wedding was about to take place. A figure in a beige gown was being escorted by staff toward the bridal dressing room. Hua Linran recognized her at a glance. It was his bride, Jiang Mion. His heart, which had been hanging high, settled halfway back down. "See, I told you." Xiao Fei immediately laughed. "Your bride just wanted to make a special entrance. As long as she's here, that's what matters." Jiang Mion's mother quickly chimed in with an apologetic smile. "This child. Really?" She didn't say a word, worrying everyone. "Let's hurry to the hotel now, so we don't miss the auspicious time." Hua Linran took a deep breath. Suppressing the restlessness in his heart, the motorcade arrived at the hotel. Hua Linran briefly greeted the guests and media. All the guests were seated, and the host was also in place. He turned and walked toward the bride's dressing room. Stopping in front of the door decorated with fresh flowers, he knocked gently. "Mian Mian, it's time. Are you ready?" There was no response from inside. Hua Linran's expression darkened slightly as he grasped the doorknob and turned it. The door was unlocked. The dressing room was brightly lit, yet completely empty. The clothes and jewelry he had meticulously prepared for the bride were still there, but the bride herself was nowhere to be seen. What chilled his blood even more was that Xiao Fei was standing in the center of the room. She was wearing the custom-made wedding dress worth millions. Admiring herself in the mirror, realizing someone had entered, she turned around as if startled. "Linran, how did you get in?" Hua Linran felt a surge of rage shooting straight to the top of his head. "Why are you here? Where's Jiang Mion?" Xiao Fei's eyes reddened at his shout. "Why are you yelling at me? I saw the ceremony was about to start, and my sister-in-law still hadn't come out, so I wanted to come in and see if she needed any help. But when I came in, I didn't see anyone, and the wedding dress was hanging here." She lowered her head and tugged at the gorgeous hem of her dress. I just thought this wedding dress was too beautiful and couldn't resist trying it on." "Nonsense." Hua Linran's temples throbbed with anger. "Take it off immediately. What will your sister-in-law think if she sees this later?" Pouting, Xiao Fei began to pull at the laces on the back, looking aggrieved. Just then, there was a knock on the lounge door. A hotel manager hurried in. "Mr. Hua, the ceremony time has arrived. The MC is asking if the bride is ready to make her entrance." Before Hua Linran could respond, a clear and festive symphony prelude suddenly sounded from outside the door, along with faintly audible enthusiastic applause and cheers. The sound seemed to be not far away. The hotel manager's smile grew even more apologetic. "Also, Mr. Hua, a wedding has been added to the banquet hall next door at the last minute, and the schedule is very tight. If we, can't start for the time being, could we perhaps clear the passageway first?" To avoid delaying the auspicious timing of the Yu and Jiang alliance next door, the Yu and Jiang family's alliance, Hua Linran repeated. "Which Jiang family?" The hotel manager maintained a professional smile. "I'm not quite sure about that either." Hua Linran paused. There was an indescribable unease in his heart, but he had no mind to inquire about others' affairs. He picked up his phone and dialed the groomsmen. "The bride isn't in the dressing room. Split up and search." After hanging up, he turned to the hotel manager. "The wedding was booked half a year ago. The aisle cannot be given up. The other party looked somewhat troubled. Mr. Hua, there really is a scheduling conflict. There is no conflict. Hua Linran interrupted him. Let my wife know that her red carpet has to make way for someone else. His gaze fell on the manager's face, his voice lowering slightly. She won't be happy. As soon as the words were spoken, his phone suddenly vibrated. A groomsman had sent a photo. The moment he opened it, Hua Linran's breath caught. A graceful figure in a magnificent wedding dress was slightly turned to the side, speaking on the phone with someone. The wedding dress style is another minimalist design. The elegant neckline, the familiar curve of her shoulders and neck. She looks beautiful today. A surge of scalding emotion rushed to Hua Linran's heart. The anxiety, suspicion, and anger of the past few days seemed to be smoothed away by this photo in this moment. He was finally going to marry her. This realization filled his chest with an unfamiliar sense of peace. There may have been some setbacks before, but now, everything was about to return to normal. He would have a home with Jiang Mion, and perhaps soon, children too. He zoomed in on the photo, wanting to see it more clearly. Xiao Fei had somehow moved to his side, looking at the photo. With a touch of coquettish complaint, Linran, don't you think I look better in this one? Hua Linran's attention finally shifted slightly from the photo, and he glanced at her. The sudden relief in his mood made him a bit more indifferent to Xiao Fei's untimely comparison of beauty. He replied casually, it seems she didn't like the one I picked. Never mind. He put away his phone and prepared to go pick her up himself. If you like this one, I'll give it to you. She won't be needing it anyway. Keep it for yourself to use when you get married. With that, he turned to leave. Linran. Xiao Fei suddenly reached out and grabbed his arm. Hua Linran paused, frowning as he turned back. Xiao Fei looked up at him. The ever-present hint of a cynical smile vanished from his face. Her voice choked up a little as she asked the question that shattered all pretense of brotherhood. What did you feel when you came in just now and saw me in my wedding dress? Hua Linran looked at her reddened eyes, at the expensive wedding dress she wore, and the slight softness that had just appeared on his face upon finding Jiang Mion's photo instantly faded away. What did he feel? He hadn't thought about that question. Xiao Fei in a wedding dress, undeniably, she looked beautiful. It even had a kind of striking appeal, but they were too familiar with each other, so much so that he almost forgot she was also a woman. His feelings for Xiao Fei were more like a man's possessiveness toward a confidant. He enjoyed watching her revolve around him, savoring the feeling of being needed and admired, but what he liked even more was effortlessly maintaining the delicate balance between the two women. Jiang Mion was his destination, his home. Xiao Fei was his sense of novelty, his spice. He had never thought he had to choose between them, or rather, deep down, he believed that with his ability and status, he could keep things this way forever. Xiao Fei's tears and questions suddenly tore through this thin veil of pretense. For a moment, he was stunned, but this slight fluctuation was quickly suppressed by a stronger sense of reason and the upcoming wedding. Now is not the time to deal with this. His Adam's apple bobbed as he avoided her intense gaze. Fei, don't make a scene. This isn't the time to talk about this. Go change out of the wedding dress first. After saying that, he sprinted toward Jiang Mion's direction. I took a call on the terrace outside the banquet hall and was about to head into the room where the wedding reception was being held. As I turned around, I saw Hua Linran rushing over in a hurry. Mian, he said, slightly out of breath. You're here. Several groomsmen and Xiao Fei quickly followed, crowding the entrance to the terrace. Sis, you really know how to make an impression. One of the groomsmen, who was usually quick with a joke, shouted first, grinning cheekily. That's quite the prank you pulled, sneaking off to the next room. You had our brother Hua searching all over for you. Exactly, another one chimed in, glancing around the lavishly decorated, crowded yet unfamiliar banquet hall next door. This hall is nice too, right, sister-in-law? Are you unhappy with the setup on our side and came to check out the venue yourself? Xiao Fei quickly walked over to my side. Her tone, however, was deliberately light and affectionate. Sister-in-law, you really almost gave Linran a heart attack. She smiled, her gaze sweeping over the wedding dress I was wearing. This one looks good too, but today's main event isn't about attending someone else's wedding. Come back with us, everyone's waiting. I didn't move. She deliberately leaned in and let out a soft laugh directed at me. Sister-in-law, even though legally, You're the other woman who got in the way, don't take it to heart, we know the truth, and that's what matters, she blinked. Her tone cheerful, wishing you a happy wedding day. I glanced at her, a slight curve forming at the corner of my mouth. Thank you. Xiao Fei's smile froze, clearly not expecting this reaction from me. Huolinran walked over to me in a few quick strides, his gaze held a mix of reproach and helplessness, but more than anything, there was a sense of control, a feeling that said, I knew you'd make a scene, but you'll come back eventually, finished your call, let's head back. We've wasted enough time, but there's still a chance to make it. He paused briefly, as if to demonstrate his magnanimity. He added, if you really like the layout of this hall, his eyes swept across the surroundings, I can negotiate with the Yu family, it's not impossible to change it. As long as it makes you happy, he said it so naturally, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. It seems my appearance here, wearing another wedding dress, is merely a willful escape that disregards the bigger picture, and he is the tolerant, perfect husband who has come to retrieve his wayward fiancée. The groomsmen and bridesmaids behind him watch me with certainty, waiting for me, as I have every time before, after a small protest or tantrum, to obediently and gratefully return to Huolinran's side, to walk toward the wedding that belongs to Mrs. Hua. Huolinran extended his hand toward me, palm facing upward. I looked at his handsome face, which held a hint of impatience. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, whether overt or covert, I slightly turned my head and whispered softly to the hotel butler who had been quietly waiting beside me, Excuse me, could you please ask the host to get ready to start? The butler bowed respectfully and slightly. Yes, Mrs. Yu. Mr. Yu is already prepared on his end. Mrs. Yu. Those 3 words cracked the certainty on Huolinran's face, his outstretched hand froze midair. The laughter and whispers at the door came to an abrupt halt. Only then did I slowly lift my eyes, meeting the crumbling taken for granted in his gaze. President Hua, I used a form of address we had never used between us, my voice calm and steady. It seems you've made a mistake. Today is my wedding, but the groom is not you. Mian. Stop fooling around. His mind was buzzing, refusing to process the terrifying information that had already pieced itself together. The Yu family wedding, the bride's surname Jiang, it could only be a misunderstanding, a farce, a scene she was putting on for him in her extreme anger. He stubbornly clung to one belief. Jiang Mian was his. She had been in the past, she was now, and she must be when she walked down the wedding aisle later. His fingertips almost brushed against my wrist bone. President Hua, a calm voice abruptly cut off his movement. Yu Huai had already stepped to stand half a pace in front of me. Please show some restraint. These 3 words froze Huolinran's hand midair. He abruptly looked up, meeting Yu Huai's gaze. This was the first time he had clearly seen the man who had replaced him by Jiang Mian's side, not the low-key young master of the Yu family from his memory, but a man with a condensed, formidable presence. Mine and Jiang Mian's wedding is currently in progress, Yu Huai declared with authority. If President Hua is a guest, you welcome you. If you've come to offer congratulations, the ceremony isn't over yet, you might as well stay and witness it. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the groomsmen behind Huolinran, their faces etched with awkwardness. You all as well. Only then did his eyes return to Huolinran's face, drained of all color. If it's for other matters, now is probably not the appropriate time, not the right time. A light, airy sentence that firmly pinned Huolinran in the position of an intruder and an outsider. Huolinran's breathing suddenly grew heavier, that suppressed rage surged to the top once again. He looked at Yu Huai. Jiang Mian is my wife. Mian. Tell him whose bride you are. His gaze was locked firmly on me, betting on my last moment of softness. Betting that our 6 years of feelings could still outweigh all this absurdity. The music had stopped at some point. All eyes were focused on me. I slowly lifted my eyelids, through the hazy veil before my eyes. I looked at the man I had loved for 6 years and waited for 6 years, who now seemed utterly pitiful. I didn't look at Huolinran, but spoke word by word. Huolinran, look closely. I turned slightly to the side. This wedding dress was not chosen by you. I then gently raised my left hand, where the diamond ring Yu Huai had just placed on my ring finger sparkled brightly. This ring was not given by you either. Then, glancing past his pale face, I said, today, standing here, marrying Yu Huai, is me, Jiang Mian. I paused, took a deep breath, and uttered the final sentence, the one that completely severed all ties to the past. Your wedding, your bride, have never had anything to do with me. After speaking, I no longer looked at his face, which had instantly turned ashen like a dead man's. I placed my hand steadily into the waiting crook of Yu Huai's arm. Let's continue, sir, I said to Yu Huai. Yu Huai looked at me deeply. He nodded toward the direction of the officiant. The next moment, the solemn and beautiful wedding march once again resounded through the hall. It was even more magnificent and powerful than before, drowning out all other noises. Yu Huai led me, walking steadily toward the altar at the end of the red carpet. The guests on both sides spontaneously applauded. The proper smiles of the Jiang family had long since disappeared, whether it's my biased parents, my leech-like younger brother, or that fake heiress who always puts me down. They never expected that the family I'm marrying into today isn't the Hua family they've been desperately trying to cling to, but the Yu family, which has long left them far behind and doesn't even bother to spare them a glance. As for how I managed to get Yu Huai to offer a dowry of 300 million, I naturally have my own abilities. It has nothing to do with their schemes, and even less to do with the crumbling shell of the Jiang family. All those relatives and friends who usually associate with the Jiang family and were supposed to attend the wedding today were all at the Hua family's wedding just next door. Now they've all gathered over here, not out of any affection for the Jiang family, but because they sensed a more worthy presence to align with. Their applause merged into a sea of sound, and behind me, there was a deathly silence. I didn't need to turn around to imagine the expression on Hualinran's face at that moment. But that was no longer my concern. The ceremony reached its most crucial moment. The officiant asked me in a gentle yet solemn voice, Miss Jiang Mian, do you take Yu Huai to be your husband, to love him, respect him, and stand by him through all circumstances? In prosperity and adversity, in health and sickness, for the rest of your life? The entire hall fell silent, with all eyes fixed on me. I do, I replied clearly and calmly, without a hint of hesitation. No. Hualinran's eyes were bloodshot, glaring at me fiercely. Jiang Mian, I won't allow it. I won't allow you to marry. You are mine. You must come with me today. He tried to rush toward the altar, but within 2 steps, he was restrained by several burly security personnel who grabbed his arms. Let go of me. Do you know who I am? He struggled with all his might, his expensive suit becoming disheveled, with none of his usual composure and dignity left. Jiang Mian, look clearly, I am the one you should marry, Yu Huai. Let go of her. Several elders of the Yu family frowned slightly, but their expressions did not change much. Clearly, they had prepared for such unexpected situations in advance. At that moment, a figure in white suddenly rushed out from the side. It was Qiao Fei. She put on that wedding dress again. She rushed directly to the front of the crowd, raised her phone high, aimed the screen toward the guests, and shouted sharply, Everyone, today is a misunderstanding. I am the Hua family's bride. Take a look. Lin Ran and I have already registered our marriage. Look at this woman. Her finger trembled as she pointed at me. She's the homewrecker who broke up someone else's marriage. She only remarried after I found out. She turned her phone screen toward the MC, toward the Yu family elders, and even toward the surrounding guests. On the screen was a clear photo of the inside page of a marriage certificate. Jiang Mian, you're nothing but a pitiful fool deceiving yourself. You schemed to marry Mr. Yu just to get revenge, didn't you? Let me tell you, even if you've found the Yu family as your backing, you can't change the fact that you're a mistress. You'll always be a joke. With this ace card she played, the entire venue erupted in an uproar. Countless eyes shifted in shock between Qiao Fei's phone screen and me. The faces of Jiang Mian's parents had turned from confusion to ashen gray, whether from fear or anger, no one could tell. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the Yu family's reaction. Waiting for my breakdown. Qiao Fei held her head high, waiting to see what fruit this desperate counterattack, which she believed would turn the tables, would bear. However, the first to erupt was neither the Yu family nor me. It was Hualinran. Qiao Fei, shut up. What nonsense are you spouting? Despite being restrained by security, Hualinran struggled to turn his head and roared at Qiao Fei, I'm not talking nonsense. Qiao Fei grew even more agitated, still holding up her phone. Do you not even dare to admit now that I am your wife? That was fake, a gimmick from the bar. It doesn't count. Huolinran spoke recklessly. He couldn't admit it, especially here, on the Yu family's turf, in front of Jiang Mian, whether it's a gimmick or not. Wouldn't checking the civil affairs system make it clear? Yu Huai, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. He tilted his head slightly and whispered something to an assistant-like person beside him. That person nodded and quickly left. Shortly after, Huolinran and Xiao Fei were forcibly escorted away from the scene. The MC raised his voice. Please remain quiet. Let us continue with the ceremony. The rites were completed, toasts were made, and blessings were received. Everything proceeded in an orderly and joyful atmosphere, with both hosts and guests thoroughly enjoying themselves. The entire banquet hall was enveloped in a harmonious and celebratory atmosphere that truly belonged to a win-win alliance through marriage. It wasn't until the final part of the process was over and most of the guests had been seen off that I finally let out a genuine sigh of relief in the reserved VIP lounge. Yu Huai handed me a glass of warm water. Tired? He asked, his tone carrying concern but without crossing the line into excessive intimacy. Our marriage began as an agreement of mutual convenience. But at this moment, his thoughtfulness is genuine. I'm fine. I shake my head and look out the window at the deepening dusk. Today, thank you, it's my duty. Yu Huai smiles faintly. The Yu family will never go back on what we promised you. As for the Jiang and Hua families, before he can finish, the door to the lounge is gently knocked. The butler enters and respectfully says to Yu Huai, Sir, Mr. Hua is still outside the hotel. Insisting on seeing Madam, Yu Huai raised an eyebrow and looked at me. Shall we see him? I looked at my own reflection in the glass window, dressed in a wedding gown, and shook my head. Everything that needed to be said has already been said. Yu Huai nodded and instructed the butler, Tell Mr. Hua that my wife needs to rest and is not available to see guests. Please ask them to leave, if they insist on disturbing us. His tone remained unchanged. You know what to do. Yes, sir. The butler took the order and left. I knew that with the Yu family's influence and Yu Huai's methods, it wouldn't be difficult to make Huolinran and his people leave, or even prevent them from disturbing me easily for some time to come. This was one of the reasons I chose Yu Huai in this marriage. I needed a strong enough harbor, and a sharp enough knife to cut through all the messy entanglements of the past, after changing out of my wedding dress and into comfortable casual clothes. I got into the car arranged by Yu Huai. The car slowly drove away from the hotel. The city nightscape flowed past the car window as I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes. There was no sense of relief as I had imagined, nor was there any sadness. Only a hollow calm and a faint glimmer of anticipation for the new life ahead. I knew Huolinran wouldn't let go easily, but this time, I was no longer in the same place. I got married. I married someone else. The car stopped in front of a quiet villa registered under the Yu family's name. As I got out of the car, Yu Huai gestured, Let's talk in the study. The study was spacious, with a quiet courtyard visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Yu Huai took 2 documents from the drawer and slid them under the light. Without any extra expression, he said, an addendum to the prenuptial agreement. And, he paused, looking up at me. The formal withdrawal of funds notice issued by the Hua Group this morning. I picked up the documents, black and white, clear and cold, effective immediately. All cooperation and capital injections into Jiang Enterprises' core projects are terminated. This is quite interesting. The Jiang family was eagerly counting on the Hua family's capital injection to save them, but the Yu family, using their influence, made the Hua family withdraw completely. My family's future is likely to become even more difficult. As for the 300 million dowry, it was already transferred. It went into a separate account. With me as the account holder, I have full autonomy over this money. Very efficient. I set down the document, my voice calm. I took out another thin file from my handbag and pushed it toward him. The century-old winery in the Swiss Alps, along with the surrounding vineyards, which my grandfather transferred to my name. You've tried to buy it several times through intermediaries over the years, but I never agreed. The market valuation, most recently at 320 million, 300 million. I'll sell it to you for 300 million, as compensation for your righteous assistance. As for the marriage certificate, there's no need to get one. That way, neither of us will end up as divorced without having gained any advantage. Arranging this wedding is just to get your Yu family to make the Jiang family shut up and to keep Huolinran from harassing me in the future. If you ever meet a girl you like and need me to explain, I'll spare no effort. Huolinran smiled, picked up another, thicker folder from the side of the table, and pushed it over. Don't rush, take a look at this. I opened it. The contents inside were more in-depth than I had imagined. The materials included not only the industry analysis articles I had previously published anonymously, but also a project proposal I had discreetly submitted to either Huolinran or my father. Following that were photocopies of several handwritten thank you letters from several influential matriarchs of prominent families in the capital. Thank you, MS.W, for your professional advice and exceptional insight in family asset allocation and investment over recent years. The signature is a pseudonym, but those within the circle can easily find out who W is with a little inquiry. The profits from several of Huolinran's early key decisions bear the shadow of the anonymous analyses you provided. During those times when the Jiang family seemed on the verge of collapse, they managed to recover each time, thanks to injections of funds or resources from unknown yet remarkably precise sources, none of which were related to the Hua family. Your family likely always assumed it was Huolinran who helped. He looked at me, his gaze seeming to pierce through the carefully crafted obedient facade I had worn all these years. Miss Jiang, you probably always believed that you had to establish your own family to completely escape that suffocating environment you grew up in. In fact, he paused, you could have left long ago, if you had wanted to. All these years, you've worked hard, and wasted them. My fingers holding the documents tightened slightly. All these years of persistence, misunderstood by everyone, were not entirely unseen after all. It's just that the one who should have seen it most clearly chose to look the other way. Was it hard? Yes. Was it a waste? Perhaps. It truly was. A complex emotion, blending bitterness and relief, silently washed over my heart. I lowered my lashes, carefully concealing them. Those assets are, of course, a plus. Proving your capital operation skills and ability to keep secrets. Yu Huai shifted his tone, his voice growing heavier. But what the Yu family truly values are two more intangible things. First, the ability to execute precise strikes and negotiate in desperate situations. Second, your clear awareness of your own value and the decisiveness to realize it. He leaned forward slightly. 3 billion isn't for buying that estate. It's my sincerity and a prepaid investment in the value you may create in the future. Far exceeding this amount, the study fell into silence. Very fair. I closed the folder, all turbulence suppressed beneath my gaze. Mr. Yu. A pleasure to work with you. Yu Huai stood up, poured 2 glasses of water, and handed one to me. Pleasure working with you, Jiang Mian. He called me Jiang Mian, not Miss Jiang, nor Mrs. Yu. 300 million. It bought not just an identity, not just information, but a bet on future potential. The Yu family was placing their bets. That night, in the Yu family villa, I slept with an unusual sense of peace. I knew that from the moment I made that call at the airport. From the moment Yu Huai said yes without hesitation, I had already set foot on a path from which there was no turning back. Huolinran might still be somewhere, angry, in pain, and confused, thinking about how to snatch me back, but he probably will never understand that when he allowed Xiao Fei to cross the line time and again, and when he used the reputation of both families to dismiss my feelings, he was gradually destroying the Jiang Mian who once saw him as her entire world. The Jiang Mian of now has shed that shell of humble devotion for love, revealing edges and corners she herself had never fully known. Whether the Yu family's purchase of these 300 million is worth it remains to be seen, but for me, it is the first step toward my future battlefield. And also the most important capital, the end.